Thank you so much for joining at this time. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, from wherever you're joining. We are very excited to be coming together with Sebastian Bighelli from SAP to present the latest innovations in the conversational AI space. Before we get started, I just wanted to do a few announcements. Most of you will be muted throughout the program, and I would request you to stay muted and stay off video so that we can use our bandwidth wisely. And as we go through the entire presentation, if you have any questions, just feel free to drop it on chat. We will pick it up and address it at the end of the program. And if we do not have time, we will go ahead and respond to you personally. So if you could leave your name and your email ID, if you need the presentation or the recording, we are going to go ahead and send it out to you via LinkedIn or email, whatever is your preference. I would also like to let you know that both SAP and Emplay, as we come together, we have our offers around making use of our free tools. So you have free trial of SAP CAI that you can use through the link that you can see on the screen. And at the same time, we are offering free POCs of converting your content into conversations throughout the end of the year. And therefore, if you're interested, there is a link out there. We will post that link on chat as well. You can go ahead and register, and we will contact you and do a free POC for you. So some of these announcements, and we will get started. I still see people trickling in. So welcome again, everyone. So I am very excited to hand it over to Sebastian for him to go ahead and introduce himself.
Thanks, Sanchita. Hello, everyone. So very happy to be here. Nice to see all these people from all around the world. So my name is Sebastian. I'm working at SAP in France, and I work as a product manager at SAP in the SAP AI product success team, where we have a focus on the different SAP AI products that we offer at SAP, and my specific focus is with strategic customer and also with partner management. So very happy to be here and to start talking about chatbots.
Great. And I'm Sanchita. I'm the CEO of Emplay. We are a data science and a conversation science company. We are also an SAP IO incubated company, and we are partnering with SAP to bring our auto training solutions, our auto training chatbot solutions in conjunction with SAP CAI. And we are very excited to present some of those innovations. So quickly about the agenda, Sebastian will first talk through all the key capabilities of SAP Conversational AI platform. It's a really robust platform to very quickly build chatbots. And then I will come and talk about how to auto-train chatbots, because while you train chatbots, there are lots of manual processes, knowledge-based creation, etc., that you have to do, and we have a way to crash the time and automate a lot of those through AI. Definitely, you would want to know how customers have benefited from all these chatbot solutions. Sebastian is going to come and talk about some of those impressive wins. And then I would also like to go ahead and show an example of in-app SAP product support that we are able to do. SAP has a huge amount of content, and how we can auto-train chatbots to go ahead and find content from multiple sources and give the right answer. I would like to launch a quick poll. So we wanted to ensure that all of you are on the same page. So if you are okay to quickly respond to these questions, we wanted to know if you are an SAP customer who's looking to learn more about SAP Conversational AI, or you are not an SAP customer but wanting to still know about the capabilities of conversational solutions, or you may already have a chatbot but you're trying to make it smarter and train faster, or you do not have a chatbot and you're trying to learn about the latest innovations. We just want to assess a little bit about what your goal is today so that we can probably modify the flow in a way that is most pertinent to most of you. Okay. I will keep the poll open, but I will go ahead and hand it over to Sebastian.
Thank you, Sanjita. So let's talk about chatbots. All right, very interesting topic. So before going, going more in the direction of SAP Conversational AI, I just wanted to quickly set the background and just remind everyone what do we speak about when we speak about chatbots, right? So at SAP, we identified three major, let's say, capability or pillars about what a chatbot can help a company with, right? So first, we must also say that a chatbot can really help improving what we call the customer experience and also the employee experience, right? So we have this both type of audiences that we can help. So the first pillars that we have is when a chatbot is acting as a guide, is redirecting the user into the right page, into the right menu, instead of the user searching, for instance, in a very complex software. Oh, well, where can I find this specific information? I don't remember. I think I have to click there, or no, it's not. It is in the other category, and etc. etc. And at the end, the user is wasting a lot of time, right? So here, it just asks the chatbot, okay, where can I find, I don't know, the list of my invoices, right? And the chatbot understands the request and just give the URL or refresh the page, and user is in the correct place to find the information, right? The second capability is where the chatbot is executing a task for the user, right? So, for instance, okay, I want to modify my contract, my gas contract, for instance, and I want to modify my email on this contract. So I just asked and request the chatbot to make the modification. Then the chatbot will kind of identify me and ask me for my ID or the number of my contract or whatsoever. And then the chatbot will connect to the backend through a webhook and do the modification for me, right? So again, it's a way to save a lot of time, and sometimes we talk about very tedious and repetitive tasks. And the third one is probably the most simple one, is I have a question and the answer comes from the chatbots very quickly, right? So instead of, again, browsing documents or browsing or searching the question or searching for the answer on the searching motor or whatever, and again, wasting a lot of time in this, sometimes for a very specific question, I just ask the question to the chatbot, and then the chatbot will have the answer. We search in specific documents, etc. For instance, through an FAQ chatbot, right, which is kind of the topic of today, among others. And the good thing is that the three capabilities are available 24/7, which is the main difference between a chatbot and, for instance, a human agent service or center, right, which is not always available or always opened or whatsoever, right? So this is for the three capabilities. So Sanjita, can you please go on the next one? Okay. Thank you, Sanjita. So now talking about SAP Conversational AI. So what are we? We are a chatbot building platform. So basically, when you buy a contract with us, you build the right to buy the right to build as much chatbot as you want, from A to Z, from scratch, and you can go and make very, very powerful conversational interfaces, right? So basically, I won't, of course, deep dive because we don't have so much time, but basically when you build the chatbot, you go through a process of 5 steps, let's say. So train, build, test, connect, and monitor. So training is the most important one, which is where you build your data set, because here, and it's super important, when we speak about the smart chatbot, we don't speak about the old school way to build a chatbot, which is a very guided and close conversation. Like, you want to do that? Okay, so this is option 1, 2, 3. Okay, so regarding what option you select, this is option 1, 2, 3. Okay, so now new question, option 1, 2, 3, etc. Where the conversation is kind of, closed, right? So we now speak about a human-like conversation, which is, I don't want the chatbot exactly to tell me what I need to do. I want to ask my question in the way I would do it with a real human agent, for instance, right? So this is what we call a human-like conversation. And all of that is obtained through a good data set that we built on the train tab, which is basically building the brain of the chatbot. Then we build what we call the conversation flow through skills. So we say to the chatbot, okay, so now that you recognize in the conversations that the user want to do such or such action, so this is now what you have to do, right? So you have to connect to a backend, you have to answer that on that question, in that on that or that form, like a list, a carousel, image, or whatsoever, right? So you really build now the answer from the chatbot. Then comes the test part. So the test part is when you do a modification on the data set, right? So you modify the data set of the chatbots, right? And then you can. Sorry, can you still hear me?
Yes, yes.
Sorry, I think I was muted. Okay, so I was saying that on the test pad you can perform some automatic actions, right? So you say, okay, so now that you modified your data set, you don't want to manually check everything again and again. So what you just do is that you say to the chatbot, okay, you can run some test cases, right? And then the test is done automatically. So this is what you can do with the test tab. Then the connect part, which is deploying your chatbot on social networks, on a web page, through a web client or whatsoever. And last but not least, the monitor part, which is maintaining the quality of the chatbot over the time, which is also super important because this is the way to have a performant and a performing chatbot, which is like the platform will analyze the quality of the data set for you and tell you over time, okay, you have to modify such part of the data set because regarding what the users say, they don't properly have an answer or whatsoever, right? So this is the 5 steps of how you build a chatbot. Sanjita, can you go on the next slide, please? Okay, so now before handing over to Sanjita, so basically, we have 4 capabilities that I want to speak about. So the first one is what we call the low-code, no-code type of building a chatbot, which is basically we make a lot of tools available on the platform in order that even non-developers can build a chatbot very easily. For instance, you can consume an API directly on the platform, so you don't have to maintain essentially a webhook outside of the platform whatsoever. You can leverage API and connect to external services directly on the platform. The NLP, which has already talked about, so we are talking about a chatbot which is able to recognize what is in the conversation, what is the mood of the conversation, what is the request of the user, whatever the way the user is expressing itself, right? Himself or herself, okay? And then the platform is really able to, to analyze the whole conversation, and the chatbot will act depending of the conversation, right? So this is, all of that is thanks to the NLP technology that is behind. Also, what we are doing is providing some templates. So we are starting by providing a first template that we deployed a few months ago on the SAP community network, which is a chatbot for a template for S4, chatbot template for S4, right? So we are aiming to do more and more. So you can basically download this template and import it into your session in order not to have to start from scratch with this with your chatbot for S4. Okay, and last capability is of course the way to let's say to work with many people on big chatbot project, which is super important because nobody is going to build a very little chatbot. I mean, all of you are probably going to build big chatbot for big projects, right? So we have, for instance, a versioning and permission and environment features that will really help you working with many colleagues on big chatbot projects. So that's for the first presentation. Back to you, Sanchita. Sanchita, I don't think we can hear you.
Okay, sorry. So thank you, Sebastian. Yeah, thank you, Sebastian. So that was a great introduction to SAP Conversational AI, and you definitely need a very robust platform that you can build out in a high performance environment. However, there are a few things that you have to do manually. The first important thing is, as Sebastian said, that you need to have a great knowledge base. Most of the chatbots have the experience. You ask 2 or 3 questions and they will say, hey, sorry, I don't know. Let me go ahead and escalate to someone. That's a great thing. But the more your chatbot knows, the more call deflection or more customer service experience you can provide. So the most important thing is to build a great knowledge base, which is at this time created manually. You have to create a list of FAQs, questions, and anticipated answers. And you can do it for 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 questions. But typically people could ask millions of questions in a large company environment. This is where our first innovation comes in, where we have the capability to go ahead and automatically create FAQs from PDFs, videos, web pages. So you can add thousands of PDFs and we will create millions of Q&As out of them. They could be PDFs, they could be documents, they could be PPTs with notes section, they could be meeting recordings, videos, and internal and external websites. So this is where most people take about 2 to 3 months to really create a good knowledge base. And this is also a point where you have to constantly maintain this because information is constantly refreshing. So you want to go ahead and auto-train chatbots by first creating question base and knowledge base that can be added to the chatbot. The second is natural language processing technology is golden, but you have to train the natural language by hand, which means for every intent, you have to create alternate utterances by which the same question could be asked by different people. So first, you need a great classification engine, which SAP CI has a wonderful, robust platform. But at the same time, where we bring in our strength is to create these alternate utterances automatically. For every question, we can generate multiple questions. And at the same time, we use a semantic engine that understands the meaning of what you've asked rather than tries to just read the words that you've asked. And so with no synonyms, no abbreviations, the machine is automatically learning your enterprise language and being able to create those semantic matches with your question and the answer. The third is most importantly is context. You have, think if you have millions of question answer pairs, you've asked a question, but you could have a match with multiple answers. Now, this is where the chatbot should have the ability to stop and ask qualifying questions, just like a human would ask. For instance, if you say, hey, I want to grant permission, the right response would not be to give out 100 different links that says this is how you grant permission, but the right answer is in asking which product are you trying to grant permission to, which module, which feature, and what are you trying to authorize them for, which activities. So this ability to ask questions to set the context in a way that the response is highly relevant and contextual is golden. And therefore, we have the ability to take all your documents and auto tag them for context. Which product is it? Which region does it belong to? Or which module are you talking about? Or which part of customer service or sales support are you talking about? So these questions can be auto-generated by looking at all the tags that we have auto-created. Then the last one is most chatbots have a flow creation module, and this is really good from a process automation perspective because you have finite number of flows. But when it comes to information automation, when you're talking about millions of anticipated questions, it is physically not possible to create so many flows. You want a system that dynamically creates these flows. So we have the recommendation engine built in, which reads through the document structures, and also matches semantic, concepts from multiple documents, and is able to create dynamic flows to recommend what is the next question that you may want to know about, or convert your document and your topics into a guided flow automatically. So these are the 4 key innovations: the knowledge engine, the NLP engine or the semantic engine, the context engine, and the recommendation engine. All of these come together to provide the most unique conversational experience, which is human-like and highly intelligent. So KATE, which really stands for Knowledge Assistant and Training Engine, is a great training tool for your current chatbots. So first is response to the user questions contextually by extracting the exact answer from within documents. So when people ask questions, and even if you've put in a search engine behind a chatbot, the idea is to bring up a document that is relevant, but people have to go through those 20 pages or go through that 20-minute video to find the right answer. Kate has the ability to not only respond contextually, but extract the exact paragraph, the exact segment of the video from within those humongous knowledge base and present it as answers. And of course, it goes ahead and recommends the next question so that it is not an answering machine, but it becomes a problem-solving machine. And finally, Kate can also go ahead and proactively diagnose issues to provide data-driven recommendations. So it can see what the customer or the user is saying, doing, or asking for, and then go ahead and start even recommending through data-driven notification. Now, how does it work? Since a lot of you may be quite technical here, want to know how does this work? It's not a black box. So what we do is we have a pipeline that ingests all of this content, whether it's a video, PDF, or website. It ingests the content, it scrapes the content, and chunks them by paragraph, section, and even line. So now your content has become micro content automatically. And there's a whole industry out there that's building out these micro content pieces, but we can automatically create micro content from your long format content. And then for every micro section that we have sliced it into, a question is getting generated. So a question generator creates a question for every micro segment. So immediately your documents has converted into Q&As. And then for every section and every document, we auto tag the document with all the context variables that are possible. It could be, a taxonomy could be added, or we can go ahead and identify through tag extraction, come up with those meta tags. And then we can dynamically sequence them either through syntactic or semantic methods. So now your knowledge engine or the knowledge base is ready. It has Q&As, which are tagged for context and also sequenced. Now the semantic engine, the context engine, and the recommendation engine matches the questions to the right answers, bringing out the right context and also recommending. And we can go ahead and integrate with SAP Conversational CAI platform or any other platform. So at this time, I will go ahead and start another poll. This is just to understand of all the challenges that we talked about, which of these may be something that you are facing, so that again we can then tailor the conversation around those specific challenges. So I will keep the poll open for some time for you to respond, that whether you're having trouble with NLP training or knowledge base creation, or just training the chatbot for context, or even building dynamic flows. Okay, so while the poll is on, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Sebastian to take us through some of the use cases and case studies that we're very proud to share.
Thank you, Sanchita. As you can imagine, you can use a chatbot for, almost any type of use case or business cases. We have many customers, and not one customer use the same way a chatbot than another customer. So that's pretty interesting. So this is just a few, a little list of with few examples of how you can use a chatbot, right? So for instance, you can really improve your customer support or customer service, right? And help the live agents facing sometimes some peak of requests from the customers, right? So you can kind of automate the answers from the customer support and really improve the response time, for instance, and of course overall the satisfaction of the customers. You can also, as you can see on the top bottom left corner, you can also improve the customer buying experience, the customer journey. We have several customers in the retail industry, for instance, who are deploying a chatbot into their web page so that the chatbot can really understand what are the needs of the customer, make some recommendation, for instance, and also help the user, going through all all the buying process, right? So if the user has some specific question about, I don't know, the delivery, for instance, he can just ask the chatbot. Or if the user want to, add an item into its cart, he can also ask the chatbot to do it or whatsoever. You can, as I said at the beginning, use the chatbot to improve the employee experience. So for instance, if you want to have a chatbot into your company to improve the HR processes, because sometimes it's quite heavy. So if, for instance, your employee have some question about requesting a leave or reviewing all their invoices as a sales or whatever, right? So they can really use a chatbot almost like as an assistant, right? Sometimes. And last example, which is also a very cool example, is everything around health. So basically, symptom checker. I have a great example just after. So symptom checker or chatbots that can really, help doing a first filter if you have, I don't know, in an hospital or whatsoever. And again, improving the response time, improving the overall satisfaction of the customer, which is something that is on the top list of any companies. So Sanchita, can you go on the next slide, please? And there I will give you some few examples. So again, if you can use a chatbot for any type of use case, it also means that you can use a chatbot in any type of industry. So here, this is just a few examples of what do we have. But again, you have to imagine that you can multiply that per 2, 3, 10, because almost every industry can really leverage our solution and leverage a chatbot, right? So we have some customers, for instance, in the banking area, in the finance area, with very cool chatbots in the health area. As I just mentioned, the COVID symptom checker. So it was for a customer called Parkland, an hospital in the US. Luxury retail or retail more globally. Right, where a chatbot can really help, for instance, as I said, improving the buying experience of the final customer. Automotive, utilities. Also, we have many customers in the utilities industry, and also, and again, as I said, inside your own company. Improving the employee experience, so everything for your employee daily life, for your sales, for procurement, for sales order or whatever, right? So there are tons of different ways to really leverage, as I say, chatbot solutions. And so really happy to see how you will use conversational AI and also the employee solutions in order to improve your daily life and also the daily life of your final customers. So back to you, Sanchita.
Thank you, Sebastian. I realize we have just one more couple of minutes, so I wanted to go ahead and launch this third poll. And with that, we will start with the next section. So here, there's a small poll that I'm going to launch where we're just trying to understand which use case are you most excited about, what's more important to you. So accordingly, we can send you some materials that will be available. So while the poll is on, I will not close the poll so you can take your time. But given the time, I will go ahead and present the next few slides. I know we are out of time, but I have also seen all your chat messages and questions. We will go ahead and respond to you. We have a download of all your credentials, your name and the questions. So first of all, I wanted to show you that just like Sebastian talked about multiple use cases, one of the use cases is in-app support, especially for companies like SAP or any product company. There are tons of information around how to user questions, admin questions, implementation questions, or even upgrade questions and customer service questions, etc. So SAP being SAP, they have so many content sources from where you could get information. There's help manuals, developer.com, tutorial.com, community questions. So you just don't want content only from documents coming up. You could have community and website and other places where training materials that are there. And we have the ability not to just have one source, but multiple sources. The good news is you do not have to make any technology disruptive decisions, because you can keep your content where they are without changing anything. All that we will be doing is extracting and creating reference links, so that when you have a question, we can provide the answer and then point them back into the environment where the content is. So from a security perspective too, we can implement it behind your firewall, as well as even if we are on a SaaS platform, we are not storing any of your data or the text, but we go back and just reference it back to your original source. So I will just take 30 seconds to show an example, because a lot of questions have come into the chat which are related to how does it work. So we'll just watch this video very quickly to make time. Okay, so we are over time, and thank you so much for joining the call. And we wanted to be respectful of all your time. Sorry we could not answer the question, but we will definitely get back to you, answer every question that you have put on chat. You can write to Sebastian and Kate for other questions that you may have. You can also sign up for free trials, both for SAP CAI and for Empley Kate. And then, of course, we are on LinkedIn as well. We will keep in touch. Extremely grateful for you to spend this time with us, and have a great rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.